good morning, Dallas Preston Road. Happy Monday to everybody. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. It was another surprisingly beautiful weather weekend. I don't know, last 2 weekends, they were teasing us with rain and clouds, and it ended up just being so nice. So I hope you got relaxed and rejuvenated, and maybe took a couple listings, got a couple homes under contract, all those good things. But we are back to business today. We have a guest with us and very excited to introduce Mr. Rick Hale. And Brett Caldwell actually connected us. And I asked Brett, I said, who do I need to have on our Dallas Preston Road huddle that I don't know about that would be amazing? And he said, you have to have Rick Hale. So Rick has been with Keller Williams for 22 years. He is a millionaire real estate agent with a team that runs without his daily support. So how amazing is that? He also has been the OP of 6 market centers. Hang on, I want to make sure I get the title correct. He is a published author of the book, Stop Settling, Finding Clear Directions for a Regret-Free Life. So Rick, I'm going to turn it over to you. I appreciate you so much spending your morning with us, and the floor is all yours.
All right, one adjustment now. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yep, you're good.
Awesome. So yeah, happy to be here. It's a privilege. And wow, hearing my own resume read to me is it's a good way to start your Monday morning. I wonder how many of us get up and someone reads your resume to you, especially the highlight reel. But you know, for every highlight reel, there are days where you're like, I'm not sure that was me or who that was. And that's just a human thing to be and what to do. But I'd just like to start by saying, yeah, I've been with Keller Williams since 1999. And it's an amazing company, truly shaped and defined and helped me refine who I am and what I am, and more importantly, why I am. And I think I have like all of 12 minutes, or is that about kind of how this goes down? So I don't think I've ever done anything in 12 minutes super effectively, because I just warm up around the 15-minute mark. But I'll just cut to the chase and say that I wrote a book, so I'll start there. And this was a 10-year labor of love. And what I found about big projects and big ideas is they don't happen fast, and most people quit before the magic happens because they simply don't stay the course, and they give up on their dreams, and they often set annual goals and then reset and recalibrate. And it's like Groundhog year after year after year. My mentor and the regional director for the Southeast region was Bob Kalinske when I was in my prime. And again, I was an OP for 20 years over a number of offices, and an amazing ride. But so at one point, he asked us in a group, he said, how many of you have been in the real estate business for at least 10 years? And lots of people raised their hand, including me. And he said, how many of you have had a 10-year career or 10 one-year careers? And I thought, well, that's a subtle distinction. And, you know, as I pondered and thought about it, it hit me that, you know, how often do we kind of reset, recalibrate in Groundhog Year? You know, we just start over like the movie Groundhog Day, and you just relive kind of the same experience over and over. And so I took some material from, who's taken career visioning? Just show of hands, you just curious. So career visioning might be the most powerful course at Keller Williams, because it's a really cool thing to it's a tool for hiring people. You use the KPA and the Keller personality assessment, and then there's a step-by-step process. And typically it takes 10 to maybe 8 hours, 6 hours if you're really efficient. I tend to take longer with people before I hire them, and I bet I've hired a few hundred people in my lifetime. And what I found is if I follow every step, I tend to make really good choices and good hires. The other thing I found in committing to the process and not settling or coming up short on it is that I find out things about me and myself, and I become more comfortable being vulnerable and transparent. And the more transparent I believe people are, the more the better humans they become, frankly, because we're all having an experience that, you know, there's no reason to hide behind walls and curtains. I mean, I think we're all humans having human-like days, and the more we share, the more we give, the more we'll get. We're also all mirrors, and whatever you're putting out is what's coming back. There's just no way around it. So fast forward a little bit in you know, taking people through the process of the career visioning process. The belly of it, as you may remember, those of you who'd had it, you've got the verification, validation. They've changed the name a few times and what they call it. And then you go through their life history and their past performance in their journey. And then you move forward into today. And then the next step is their future self. And what I found most interesting is their future self was the most compelling part of the experience right after the journey, because the journey is revealing. Your journey, it's hard to escape the reality of how you got here, and your habits typically define you and are often prone to repetitiveness. But the future self piece, when I see somebody in front of me that has goals, dreams, and objectives that are holistic, and their entire world aligns with my capacity to serve and support them as their leader, and their skill set matches the role, I don't have to worry about retention. I don't have to worry about. So when you're hiring people, I often hear, oh, I don't want to hire people. I'm not good at managing people. Oh, I don't want to hold them accountable. Oh, I don't. Here's the thing. If you hire the right person with the right mindset and capacity and fire in their belly, and then you understand their holistic goals in life and support them, they're never going to leave because you're supporting them in a way that no one else will. And B, they're going to be self-managed. So if you're like, I don't like managing people, you're just hiring the wrong people, and you haven't taken the time to really, really turn down 10 to get the one that really is the perfect match for you. I've had people work with me for 20 plus years, and it's not because I'm really good at reviews or big fat raises, although I tend to try to pay people well, because why not? We all deserve a big life when you're contributing to big goals and dreams like our team does. So I pulled the 5-year future self part out of career visioning, and I've refined and defined it to the extent that I now have a 4-hour workshop. And at the end of that workshop, I help people arrive at a place where they become super excited about holistic goals for their entire world 5 years from now. And then the idea is to reverse engineer. And so instead of having those groundhog years, you start chopping wood more slowly and steadily, and you don't give up, because big goals don't usually happen inside of a year. I mean, that's why I believe people often set big goals. And then, I could ask you right now, how many of you have big goals for this year? And I bet everyone would raise their hands. That's who and what we are at Keller Williams. And if I then said, are you absolutely certain you're going to hit them? I bet 50, 60% lower your hands sheepishly, because you're just not sure. And so I don't want to diminish the reality of that we're in a weird shifted market and that things are happening. But if you double down on contacts and you double down on the economic model and go back to your business plan, there is an algorithm to solve every riddle. And there's a business algorithm inside of that, our models, that'll help you fix that. But today I just wanted to share that what I've found in my life is that sometimes I get so one-tracked and singular about the things I'm chasing that I forget a few things on the list that really matter. And so my dream and goal was threefold, really. One was to document a life well lived. And so I decided to write this book probably 12 years ago. And I've asked this of late. I do a lot of speaking, and my goal today, by the way, my job today is education and inspiration. That's literally my role in the organization. I don't actually get paid. So it's a fun job because I get to, not because I have to, and it's not part of a job description. It's just what I'm wired to do. And so inside of the book is an entire segment, like I said, based on your 5-year future self, for you to get really clear in who and what you are and where you want to land in 5 years. And for me, it was, man, all I want to do is I want to connect the dots and help people become better human beings and fulfill their holistic life goals. And again, as I said earlier, sometimes we're in phases and seasons and reasons for hyper focus in one area. And then you look over your shoulder a few years later and realize you neglected some things that may come back to haunt you that are actually quite important as well. And so I don't know if it's possible to pop up, Teresa, the Wheel of Life. What do I have, like 3 minutes maybe? How long do I have?
Yeah, you're good. Do you have it on your screen, or do you want me to pull it up from my email?
If you could pull it up from the email and just pop it in, there's a
Sure.
tool that
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, there's no rush. I
Talking
just
and I'll
wanted
get
to
it pulled
put it
up.
there before we're done. And you can go to, by the way, you can also go to rickhale.com, and under the tools tab, I'll write that in the, that's my website. You can buy the book there. You can also, it's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and all the other typical places you find books. But so if I had another hour, I mean, I could dissect and really probably drill down into some areas and tips and clues and cues and cheats and hacks and all the cool stuff that goes with having a big life. But, my goal in life, again, in my goal in this book, I should say, was really just to document a life well lived, and not one that was flawless. In fact, the point is, it wasn't flawless. I just kept chopping wood until I woke up on the other side of, I'm 57 and I'm retired to some degree, but I'm really rewired, and I'm doing the things that I really, 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 really love every day. I wake up inspired and I go to bed fulfilled, because I'm not hacking away at things that aren't in my DNA, that aren't what I'm supposed to, that aren't natural and also aren't pleasing. Having said that, there were years where you have to do the dirty grind and you have to swing hard at things because you kind of have to be all things to all people for a season or two. But I'm here to tell you, you can outsource, you can subcontract, you can leverage once you get your core business nailed and you develop some passive income, and that's all in the book. You can be having to do whatever you want. It's just not going to probably happen inside of 12 months, which is how we set goals. And inside the book is a 5-year step-by-step strategy for a holistic landing pad, if you will, so that you wake up regret-free. I mean, that's really a life well lived. And so I would like to just share a couple of thoughts. One is that your brain is a riddle solver, and that whatever messages and cues and clues you give it to work on, it's going to solve that riddle. And so if you're watching the bleeding edge and the news and the negativity, it's going to try to filter out those things. And frankly, you can't control them or change them. So my advice is eliminate or at least minimize that to the best you can. But if you fill it full of positive opportunities and positive riddles and positive, here's where I intend and positive intentions, it's amazing how the world will deliver things to you that you didn't even know existed. And it all starts by paying attention to the little things, because I think the little things become big things, especially when stacked end to end. And again, the 5-year piece of it is just magical. I mean, I'd love to share and show you my first 5-year future self. I had some ridiculous goals on there, and most of them didn't happen in even the second year or the third year. But by the time I got to the 5th year, I'd either re-scripted the goal because my life circumstances had evolved and my perspective around what's important had evolved, or I crushed them, or I replaced them with something better. And so where we start with this, and what I'd like to share today, is just the life wheel that I took from Zig Ziglar, and he had a 7-spoke wheel. And over my 20-year run as an OP hiring and as a leader of a mega team, I just found that it's common that someone would say, well, what about this and what about that area of life, and why haven't you asked me? Because I always ask the question. This is a great finish line question for any interview: is what question should I have asked you that I didn't? What area of life would you have wanted to share with me that if I were more in tune, I would have asked? And they'll add something. They're like, well, you didn't say recreation or adventure. And I'm like, well, dang, let's talk about that then. And so then I'd add it to the wheel. So I got to a dozen. I actually had a 13th, and then decided that that's 12 was magical, and that's plenty on a wheel. But all that to say, what I'd suggest today is you take a copy of this. Maybe Teresa can email it out to have in your inbox, and just rate yourself 1 to 10, non-judgmentally. But I mean, theoretically, it's judgmental, but be kind. And this is just a snapshot of today. And, GPS only works when you have 2 coordinates, when you're driving and you want to get somewhere. And so this is just your current location. This is where I am today, not where you're going. So there's no reason to hold yourself accountable. If you don't feel great about it, take a deep breath, because there's a simple solution. Connect the dots and see how round your wheel is. And then out beside each bubble, just write one thing that you could do in the next 15 days, next 2 weeks, next 3 weeks, that moves it 1 number north. And here's what I've found in this. The aha, if we had more time for you to self-discover this aha, is you'd wake up going, 2 weeks from now going, holy cow, I feel a ton better. I feel more purposeful. I feel more holistic again. And because, your body knows when it's not resonating at a frequency that's really fulfilling your heart. It knows when you're depriving it of nutrients that are required for, again, a big life and the purposeful life that you're designed and deserve to have. And so the idea today is keeping it simple. In the book, again, I walk through a 5-year version of how to do this, because all you have to do is reverse engineer into daily behavior, because the war, it truly is one daily. And if you just write one thing per category and then actually set an appointment with yourself in your day planner, I promise you'll wake up a happier, more fulfilled person, and the people around you will appreciate you more for being purposeful. The catch is it's got to be in your day planner. If it's not in your day planner, it doesn't exist. I say day planner loosely. I realize you guys are all digitized. I'm still working with old school technology.
I'm sure there's some paper. I'm sure there's some paper in this group too. Rick, thank you so much. I've heard before, are you in it for a year or for a career? But I think taking it in the way you phrased it is really a different way to look at it. Are you having a 10-year career or 10 1 years? And sometimes we just get so short-sighted Obviously it's so important to look at the numbers and to do all of the things. And yet we're looking at a big picture of what we're actually building. And that is such great perspective. So thank you for sharing with us. I will get that wheel out to everybody. I would encourage you to spend some time rating yourself and do as he suggested, because again, we can hear all of this great information, but it's always about applying it. And if we just take one thing to move forward in our lives, that's where the magic happens. So Rick, again, thank you so much. If we can ever do anything for you in Dallas, Texas, we're here for you.